The WWE Draft is set to take place on the 28th April edition of Friday Night SmackDown, along with the May 1st edition of Monday Night Raw. The WWE has been booking their drafts in a different way than they used to. They have Stephanie McMahon or Adam Pearce come out and just announce the draft picks. That's boring. I want some fun element or aspect to the draft, and to do that, I'm adding general managers. This is something that every WWE fan wants. I'm gonna add Shane McMahon for SmackDown, Stephanie McMahon for Raw. I'm adding the match that WWE would do, in which one superstar from Raw faces another superstar from SmackDown, and the winner of that match, their brand, will get the number one pick. The match is Drew McIntyre versus Edge. Later on in the match, Edge is attacked by a mystery attacker, which will later be revealed as Gunther. Drew McIntyre picks up a win, and SmackDown gets the first pick on Night 1. Night 1 will have 6 rounds, and Night 2 will have 7 rounds, as Raw is longer than SmackDown. Now, to spice things up, this won't be a regular draft with the general managers announcing their picks. It'll be a lottery, similar to 2004 between Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. This is to make the draft more unpredictable, but of course, the number one pick for Friday Night SmackDown, as expected, will be Roman Reigns. Then we have the first pick for Monday Night Raw, and out comes Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman says he's been nominated to pick the first pick for Monday Night Raw, and he feels dishonored to do so, as this idea was originated between him and Eric Bischoff. And the first pick for Monday Night Raw is Cody Rhodes. Roman and Cody are drafted to opposite brands as Paul Heyman laughs and goes backstage. It was almost as if he politicked his way into getting Cody Rhodes to go to Monday Night Raw. The second pick for Friday Night SmackDown is the SmackDown Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, and consequently, the fourth pick for Monday Night Raw is Bianca Belair. We move on to round 2 of the draft. The first pick by Friday Night SmackDown is Solo Sikoa. We then cut to Roman Reigns smiling in the locker room and telling Paul Heyman that he's done his work well. The Usos then come into the locker room and ask Roman Reigns if it's guaranteed that they'll be going to SmackDown. Roman says he doesn't know, as it is unpredictable. You never know what could happen, and it's almost like Roman doesn't want the Usos on Friday Night SmackDown. We now move on to the second pick for Monday Night Raw. It's the tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. After that, for Friday Night SmackDown, we have AJ Styles, and consequently the OC will follow as well. AJ needs a new start. His tenure on Monday Night Raw wasn't that good. On Friday Night SmackDown, he was tearing the house down. He was one of the top superstars, and a change is definitely needed. We move on to the last pick of the round for Monday Night Raw, and it is Drew McIntyre. And Drew really needs to go to Monday Night Raw. It's not working out for Drew on Friday Night SmackDown. He's becoming one of those lower mid-carders, and he definitely needs a change. Now we move on to the third round of the WWE Draft. And following Rhea Ripley to Friday Night SmackDown, we have Finn Balor. We need to keep the Judgment Day intact. They're one of the best factions in the WWE right now, and the Bloodline versus the Judgment Day will definitely be a great feud. We move on to the second pick for Monday Night Raw, and following his friend Drew McIntyre is the one and only Irish dude, Sheamus. After Sheamus, we have following Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor's Judgment Day, comprising of Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. The last pick for Monday Night Raw will be the absolute no-show, the ghoster himself, Bray Wyatt. He definitely needs a fresh start. His run in the WWE has been god-awful, and he needs something new. We move on to the first pick of the next round, and coming out to make this pick is Cody Rhodes. Now the fans are a bit shocked. It's really odd that Cody Rhodes is randomly coming out to make a pick, and the person he chooses, or the two people he chooses, are the Usos. We see Roman Reigns enraged in his locker room, asking Paul Heyman what happened. The plan seemed to be the Usos going to Monday Night Raw, as Paul Heyman had politicked it. But no, Cody Rhodes makes the pick, and the Usos go to Friday Night SmackDown. Following that, we have Angelo Dawkins himself alone going to Monday Night Raw. The Street Profits are absolutely devastated. They had a match following this round against the Alpha Academy, defeating them, and they've just been broken up as a tag team. Dawkins goes to Raw, and the next pick for Friday Night SmackDown is of course Montez Ford. We need to push Montez Ford as a solo superstar. I think the time has come. He's a great superstar with a lot of potential and is a contender for your next mid-card champion. We move on to the last pick of the round for Monday Night Raw. It's Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Definitely need to stack Raw with tag teams as they have the tag team champions. Now, the next round, Maxine Dupree comes out to make the next pick for Friday Night SmackDown. She said she's asked the higher ups if she could make a pick, and they've allowed her. And the pick going to Friday Night SmackDown is Chad Gable. No Otis, only Chad Gable. Maxine Dupree is laughing as Chad Gable and Otis are shocked. Otis will be moved to the Maximum Male Models to Monday Night Raw in the future round, but I'm not going to cover that as they are fellow superstars. We move on to the second pick for Monday Night Raw is the Brawling Brutes following Sheamus. We definitely need that Brawling Brutes triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship at SummerSlam. After that, for Friday Night SmackDown, coming from NXT, we have Roxanne Perez. After her loss to Indy Hartwell and Tiffany Stratton, she moves on to the main roster. After that, for Monday Night Raw, we have the most useless superstar in the WWE, Baron Corbin. We move on to the last round. Again, just some boring superstars. First pick for Friday Night SmackDown, we have Bronson Reed. Then for Monday Night Raw from NXT, to stack up that Raw Women's division and give new challenges to Bianca Belair, we have Alba Fire or Kaylee Ray. SmackDown then gets the Women's Tag Team Champions, Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan. The Women's Tag Teams also follow on Friday Night SmackDown. And the last pick of the round for Monday Night Raw is Dolph Ziggler. You definitely need to push Dolph Ziggler and just give him something substantial, a solid story, just anything. Maybe something with Drew McIntyre, something with Cody Rhodes, a solid story which Ziggler can work on. Now that's it for night one. Night one ends with some not so shocking but some shocking drafts as well. Night 2 is definitely going to be a surprise for fans. And now this time Raw is going to be making the first pick, not Friday Night SmackDown. The first pick for Monday Night Raw is the Ring General Gunther. Gunther gets picked first in the WWE Draft, shifting the Intercontinental Championship to Monday Night Raw. This pick is definitely needed. He needs more opponents with more substance and a vast roster. After that, the second pick for Friday Night SmackDown, it is the Drip God Seth Rollins. Getting picked first signifies that the WWE trusts Seth Rollins to give him a big role. We move on to the third pick, and that is for Monday Night Raw. It's the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. He follows Cody Rhodes, continuing that story until probably a Money in the Bank. And we then move on to the fourth pick for Friday Night SmackDown. This is a shocking one. And in the fourth pick of the draft, we get NXT superstar Braun Breaker. This man is going to tear through that roster and will definitely have a big role in the show. We move on to the second round, and the first pick for Monday Night Raw is Edge. I feel Edge has unfinished business on Monday Night Raw. He should definitely stay as he can have feuds against the likes of Cody Rhodes, Gunther, which should be the ongoing feud since Gunther attacked Edge, and also Drew McIntyre. We move on to the second pick for Friday Night SmackDown, following her husband. It's Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. It's a feud that's long time coming, and at SummerSlam that would be great. We move on to the third pick for Monday Night Raw. It's Damage Control. I need to give the Raw Women's division some substance, some female superstars who can have some good matches against Bianca Belair. And the last pick for Friday Night SmackDown, we have the United States Champion, Austin Theory. I think some of the fans think Theory is going to go in the first round. I really don't think he should. He hasn't reached that level yet. Theory is a star. He's a definite star for the future, but he hasn't reached that level yet. And he's going to go to Friday Night SmackDown. He can have a great open challenge, a weekly open challenge. It'll be great to see Theory facing newer opponents and having just some better matches. We move on to the third round, and the first pick for Monday Night Raw following Gunther is the Imperium. The Imperium versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They're the only credible challengers for them. We move on to the second pick for Friday Night SmackDown, and it's Bobby Lashley. He needs a change of brand. He needs new opponents. He needs those fresher feuds. We move on to the third pick for Monday Night Raw. It's Charlotte Flair. Charlotte versus Belair, SummerSlam. Make sure it's done. We need that feud. It hasn't happened. I'm pretty sure it hasn't. That and Ripley versus Becky Lynch, or Ripley versus a future pick, would be good. We move on to the fourth pick for Friday Night SmackDown, and to continue the feud, it's Rey Mysterio. Now we move on to the fourth round, and the lights just shut. Out comes Uncle Howdy, spins it, and we get that creepy Jack in the Box sound. And out comes the name, and it's Alexa Bliss. And the lights go off, and the pick is done. Uncle Howdy is gone, and Alexa Bliss is drafted to Monday Night Raw. Following that, on Friday Night SmackDown, we have Asuka. Asuka versus Ripley is the future pick I was talking about. That would be a cool throwback to the match at WrestleMania 37. We then move on to a shocking pick for Monday Night Raw as they get Andrade, a superstar from a company that wasn't even there. The WWE told us that everyone was eligible and Andrade goes to Raw. But Raw weren't the only ones who had a surprise up their sleeve, as Friday Night SmackDown draft Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder. And just two shocking picks from two different companies, something that wasn't expected in the draft. We move on to the fifth round and the first pick from NXT. This tag team is exceptional. They are your future champions, the Creed brothers. WWE definitely need to push them. Going to SmackDown to continue the story, it's Matt Riddle. We then have Big E going to Monday Night Raw as a solo contender. And then the YouTube influencer Logan Paul goes to SmackDown. You definitely need Logan versus Seth, maybe Logan versus Lashley, something along the lines. We then move on to the next round. Monday Night Raw drafts Karrion Kross along with Scarlett. Going to SmackDown, it's Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler to give credible challenges to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Following that, Raw picks another superstar from NXT, and this time is Joe Gacy. Although he may not be as ready as he should be, he can definitely have a great storyline against Bray Wyatt. And going to SmackDown, it's the one and only LA Knight. Push this man, give him a mid-card title, give him the money in the bank, just give him anything. And for the final round in the WWE draft, Raw makes a statement as they bring Ilya Dragunov to Monday Night Raw, the man to dethrone Gunther. The matches they'll have will just be exceptional, 5-star classics. We then move on to Tommaso Ciampa going to Friday Night SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura goes to Monday Night Raw. He definitely needs that change. He's been on SmackDown for a long time now. And then to have some classics against the likes of Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, we have Johnny Gargano. That'll be it for the WWE draft. I feel like I've divided the roster evenly. Superstars have gone to different brands, while some who have unfinished business have stayed. There can be some great potential matches, and you can definitely build up for a hyped and exciting SummerSlam. With a draft along the lines of WWE have various possibilities, it's going to be exciting to see what Triple H has up his sleeve.